I didn't expect the driveway to look exactly the same. After all these years, after living in apartments with assigned parking spots and condos where I never learned my neighbors' names, I thought maybe the gravel would be paved over, or the old mailbox would be replaced with something modern. But as my car rolls to a stop, the tires crunching over those familiar stones, everything is just as I remember it. The porch light is on. It's that same yellow bulb my dad always preferred, the one that casts everything in a warm, slightly amber glow. I can see shadows moving past the front window. Probably my sister setting the table, or my mom fussing over something in the kitchen. The wreath on the door is new, but it's hung in the exact same spot where one has always hung, year after year, for as long as I can remember. I turn off the engine and sit for a moment in the quiet. My hands are still gripping the steering wheel, even though there's nowhere left to go. I'm here. After months of planning, of rearranging work schedules and booking flights and wondering if I was making the right choice, I'm finally here. Through the windshield, I can see the oak tree in the front yard. Its branches are bare now, dark lines against the pale evening sky. I remember climbing that tree as a kid, convinced I could reach the very top if I just tried hard enough. My sister would stand at the bottom, yelling at me to come down before I fell. I never did fall, but I also never made it to the top. I take a slow breath and reach for my bag in the back seat. The air outside is cold, the kind of cold that bites at your cheeks and makes your breath visible in soft clouds. I forgot how quiet it gets out here, away from the city. No traffic, no sirens, just the faint rustling of wind through the trees and the distant sound of a dog barking somewhere down the road. As I walk toward the porch, the loose board creaks under my foot, just like it always did. I smile despite myself. Some things, I think, are meant to stay broken. Before I can knock, the door swings open. "You're here!" My sister's voice is bright and breathless, and before I can even set my bag down, she's pulling me into a hug. She smells like vanilla and firewood, and her sweater is softer than I expected. I hug her back harder than I mean to, and for a moment, I forget how long it's been since we've done this. "I can't believe you actually came," she says, pulling back to look at me. Her eyes are a little glassy, like she might cry, but she's smiling too wide for that. Come in. It's freezing out here." She ushers me inside, and the warmth of the house wraps around me immediately. The smell hits me first. Cinnamon, pine, something baking in the oven. It's the smell of December in this house, the smell I've tried and failed to recreate in every place I've lived since then. I step into the entryway and set my bag down by the stairs. The wooden banister is the same dark cherry wood, polished smooth by decades of hands sliding along it. The walls are lined with framed photos, some I remember, some that must be new. There's one of my nephew as a baby, bundled in a blanket with a tiny Santa hat on his head. Another of my parents on their wedding day, black and white and slightly faded. "Mom's in the kitchen," she says, already heading that way. She's been cooking since this morning. I tried to tell her we don't need enough food to feed an army, but you know how she is. I do know. I follow her down the hallway, past the living room where I can see the Christmas tree already set up in the corner. It's not decorated yet, just a bare pine tree standing in its stand, waiting. The lights are in a box nearby, tangled as always. The kitchen is exactly as I remember it. The same white cabinets, the same laminate countertops with the tiny crack near the sink, the same round table with mismatched chairs, the one my grandfather made by hand decades ago. My mom is standing at the stove, stirring something in a pot, and when she turns and sees me, her whole face lights up. "Oh, sweetheart!" She sets the spoon down and crosses the kitchen in 3 quick steps, wrapping me in the kind of hug only mothers know how to give. The kind that makes you feel like a kid again, safe and small and home. "I'm so glad you're here," she whispers into my shoulder. "I'm so, so glad." I close my eyes and let myself sink into it. The warmth, the familiarity, the feeling of being held by someone who's known me longer than I've known myself. When she finally lets go, she wipes at her eyes with the corner of her apron and laughs. "Look at me getting all emotional already. You just got here." "It's okay," I say, smiling. "I missed you too." She pats my cheek gently, the way she used to when I was small, and then turns back to the stove. "Are you hungry?" "Dinner won't be ready for another hour, but I made cookies this afternoon. Chocolate chip, your favorite." "Still?" my sister teases, from where she's leaning against the counter. "You're such a child." Says the woman who still sleeps with a nightlight. I shoot back, and she laughs. It feels easy, this. The banter, the teasing, like no time has passed at all, even though I know it has. Years of it. Years of phone calls and text messages and promises to visit that I didn't always keep. My mom pulls a plate of cookies from the counter and sets it in front of me. They're still warm, the chocolate chips soft and melting. I take one and bite into it, and the taste is so achingly familiar that I have to close my eyes for a second. "Good?" my mom asks, smiling. "Perfect," I say. She looks pleased. She always does when people enjoy her cooking. It's one of the things I love most about her, how much joy she finds in feeding the people she loves. My nephew comes running into the kitchen then, a blur of energy and wild hair. He skids to a stop when he sees me, suddenly shy. "Hi," he says quietly. "Hi," I say back, crouching down to his level. "Do you remember me?" He nods, but doesn't say anything. "He's been so excited for you to get here," my sister says. "He's been asking about you all week." "Is that true?" I ask him, and he nods again, a small smile tugging at his lips. "Do you want a cookie?" I offer, holding up the plate. That breaks the ice. He takes one eagerly and bites into it, grinning. "See?" my mom says. "Cookies fix everything." I stand up and lean against the counter, watching my nephew munch happily on his cookie, watching my sister scroll through her phone and laughing at something, watching my mom move around the kitchen with the practiced ease of someone who's cooked in this space 1,000 times before. And I think, this is it. This is what I've been missing. Not the grand gestures or the big moments, just this. The quiet, ordinary warmth of being with people who know you, who love you, who make space for you at the table, even when you've been gone too long. Outside, the sky's darkening, fading from pale gray to deep indigo. Through the kitchen window, I can see the lights from the neighbor's house twinkling in the distance. Soon it will be fully dark, and the stars will come out, bright and clear in a way they never are in the city. But for now, I'm here, in this warm kitchen with the smell of dinner cooking and the sound of my family's voices filling the air. And for the first time in a long time, I feel like I can breathe.
After I've unpacked my bag and washed my face in the upstairs bathroom, still the same pale blue tiles, still the same mirror that makes everything look slightly softer than it is, I come back downstairs to find my sister and nephew in the living room with the Christmas tree. "Want to help?" my sister asks, holding up a tangled strand of lights. I laugh. "Are those the same lights from—" "Probably," she says. Mom refuses to throw anything away. "I think some of these are older than we are." I sit down on the floor beside her and take one end of the strand, carefully working through the knots. My nephew is already digging through a box of ornaments, pulling them out one by one and examining them like little treasures. "Look at this one," he says, holding up a wooden reindeer with a crooked antler. "I made that in 2nd grade," I tell him, "with popsicle sticks and too much glue." He grins. "It's funny looking." It really is. I agree. My sister glances at me, smiling. "Do you remember when you glued your fingers together making that?" I remember Mom having to pry them apart with olive oil, and we both laugh. The lights take longer than to untangle than they should, but neither of us is in a hurry. Outside, the evening has settled into full dark, and through the window, I can see the first stars beginning to appear. The room is warm, lit only by the lamp in the corner and the soft glow from the kitchen down the hall. My nephew holds up another ornament, a small glass ball with faded gold paint. "Who made this one?" "That was your grandma's, from when she was a little girl." He holds it carefully, like it might break if he breathes too hard. "We have to be really gentle with that one," I tell him. "It's older than all of us combined." He nods solemnly and sets it aside, then goes back to digging through the box. There's something about this. Sitting on the floor, sorting through ornaments, listening to the quiet sounds of the house around us that feels almost sacred. Like we're not just decorating a tree, but connecting to something larger, to all the Christmases that came before this one, and all the people who sat in the same room doing the same thing. Do you remember when we used to argue about who get to put the star on top? We never actually resolved that, did we? Nope. Mom always just let us take turns. I think she was secretly glad we never agreed. I smile. Probably. From the kitchen, I hear my dad's voice. He must have come in through the back door. A moment later, he appears in the doorway, still wearing his coat, his cheeks red from the cold. "There you are," he says when he sees me. "I thought I heard your car." I stand up and cross the room to hug him. He smells like cold air and pine and something indefinably familiar, like home, if home had a smell. "How was the drive?" he asks. "Long," I admit, "but good." He nods, satisfied, and then looks at the tree. "Starting without me, I see." "We're just untangling lights," my sister says. "The actual decorating hasn't started yet." "Good," he says. "I'll go wash up. Your mother says dinner's in 20 minutes. He disappears up the stairs, and I sit back down beside my sister. I look at her, and for a moment, her expression is unreadable. Then she reaches over and squeezes my hand. Me too. Dinner is served at the round table in the kitchen, just like always. My mom has made too much food. Roast chicken, mashed potatoes, green beans, rolls still warm from the oven. There's a salad that no one will eat much of, and a casserole dish of stuffing that smells like sage and butter. My nephew sits beside me, swinging his legs under the table, while my sister pours wine into mismatched glasses. "This looks amazing, Mom," I say. "It's nothing fancy," she says, but she looks pleased. My dad sits at the head of the table, already reaching for the potatoes. Fancy or not, I'm starving. We pass dishes around, filling our plates with more than we can probably eat. For a few minutes, there's only the sound of clinking silverware and quiet chewing. Then my nephew pipes up. "Can we decorate the tree after dinner? If everyone helps clean up. Deal?" "Deal," he says, and goes back to his chicken. My dad clears his throat. "So, how's work?" I knew this question was coming. "It's good. Busy. I've been doing a lot of traveling." "That's what you wanted, right?" my mom asks. "Yeah, it is. But even as I say it, I'm not entirely sure it's true. The traveling, the work, the life I've built, it's all fine. It's what I thought I wanted. But sitting here, in this kitchen, with these people, I feel something I haven't felt in a long time. Like maybe there's more to life than just moving from one place to the next." "Well, we're just glad you're here now," my dad says, and that's the end of it. The conversation shifts to easier topics. My sister's job, my nephew's school, the neighbors who just put up an inflatable snowman that's taller than their house. We laugh about small things, pass the rolls back and forth, refilled glasses of water and wine. It's easy and comfortable, and I realize how much I've missed this. Not just the food or the house, but the rhythm of being with people who know you well enough that you don't have to explain yourself. When the plates are mostly empty and my nephew is starting to get restless, we clear the table together. My sister washes while I dry, and my mom wraps leftovers in foil and stacks them in the fridge. My dad takes out the trash, and my nephew, quote unquote, helps by putting the cloth napkins back in the drawer. It's a small thing, this routine, but it feels significant somehow, like we're all moving in sync, each of us playing our part without having to be told. Once the kitchen is clean, we migrate back to the living room. My dad plugs in the freshly untangled lights and wraps them around the tree, while my sister hands ornaments to my nephew and tells him where to hang them. I sit on the couch, watching, holding a mug of tea that's gone lukewarm in my hands. "Come on," my sister says, waving me over. "You can't just sit there." I set the mug down and join them. The box of ornaments is full of memories. Wooden stars we painted as kids, felt animals my grandmother made, glass bulbs that catch the light just right. Each one has a story. Each one gets placed on the tree with care. My nephew hangs the reindeer with the crooked antler on a low branch where he can see it. My sister finds a silver bell that belonged to our grandfather and hangs it near the top. I hold the glass ball with the faded gold paint, the one that's older than all of us, and find a safe spot for it where it won't get bumped. When the tree is finally finished, lights glowing, ornaments catching the reflection, tinsel draped unevenly across the branches, we all step back to admire it. "It's perfect," my mom says. And it is, not because it's fancy or magazine worthy, but because it's ours. Because every ornament on it tells a story. Because we made it together. My nephew yawns big and loud, and my sister scoops him up. "Bedtime for you, mister." "But I'm not tired," he protests, even as his eyes droop.
"Sure you're not," she says, carrying him toward the stairs. My parents follow shortly after, murmuring good nights and see you in the mornings. The house grows quiet again, save for the soft creak of floorboards above my head. I stay in the living room for a little while longer, sitting on the couch with my tea, watching the lights on the tree blink slowly on and off. The house is still, peaceful, and for the first time in years, I don't feel the urge to be anywhere else. This is enough, I think. I wake to pale morning light filtering through curtains I haven't seen in years. For a moment, I forget where I am. Then I see the ceiling, the same off-white with the tiny water stain in the corner that's been there since I was 12. The window with the view of the backyard, the closet door that never quite closes all the way. My childhood bedroom. I roll over and look at the old wooden dresser against the wall. It's the same one I had growing up. The one with the sticky drawer that you have to pull just right or it won't open at all. On top of it are a few things I forgot I left here. A snow globe from a long ago vacation, a framed photo of my high school friends, a jewelry box shaped like a heart. The room is both familiar and strange, like stepping into a memory that's been preserved in amber. My parents haven't changed much. The walls are still painted the same pale blue. The bookshelf still holds a collection of paperbacks I read a dozen times each. Even the quilt on the bed is one I recognize, stitched by my grandmother, soft and worn from years of use. I sit up slowly, stretching. My body feels heavy with sleep, but in a good way, like I actually rested, like I haven't slept this well in months. From downstairs, I hear the faint sounds of movement. Someone's in the kitchen. The coffee maker hisses and gurgles. A chair scrapes against the floor. The house is waking up again, and I'm part of it. I get out of bed and pad over to the window, pulling back the curtain to look outside. The backyard is covered in a thin layer of frost, everything glittering in the early morning sun. The old swing set is still there, rusted and leaning slightly to one side. The garden beds my mom plants every spring are empty now, waiting for warmer weather. I used to stand at this window and watch the seasons change. I'd watch snow fall in December, rain in April, fireflies in July. This window was my frame to the world, back when my world was so much smaller than it is now. I pull on a sweater and head downstairs, taking the steps slowly. The third one still creaks. Some things never change. In the kitchen, my mom is already up, standing at the counter with a cup of coffee in her hands. "Morning," I say softly. She turns and smiles. "Morning, sweetheart. Did you sleep well?" "Really well," I say, and it's true. She pours me a cup of coffee without asking. Cream, no sugar, just how I've always liked it. I take it gratefully and sit at the table, wrapping my hands around the warm mug. "Your father's still sleeping," she says, "and your sister won't be up for another hour at least. She's never been a morning person." "Unlike you," I say. "Unlike me," she agrees. For a while, we just sit in the comfortable quiet, sipping our coffee and watching the light grow brighter outside the window. The house is so still at this hour, peaceful, like we're the only two people awake in the whole world. "I thought we could bake today," my mom says after a while. "If you're up for it." "Bake what?" "Christmas cookies, the kind we used to make when you were little. Sugar cookies with frosting. Your grandmother's recipe. Something warm spreads through my chest." "I'd love that." She smiles, pleased. "Good. I already have the ingredients. We can start after breakfast." By the time my sister and nephew come downstairs, the kitchen is filled with the smell of cinnamon rolls baking in the oven. My dad appears shortly after, still in his pajamas, his hair sticking up in all directions. "Smells good," he says, pouring himself coffee. "Mom's making cinnamon rolls," my nephew announces, climbing into his chair. "I can see that," my dad says, ruffling his hair. We eat breakfast together. Warm rolls dripping with icing, fresh fruit, more coffee. My nephew chatters about wanting to build a snowman if it snows, and my sister reminds him that it probably won't. They go back and forth about it while the rest of us smile and eat. After breakfast, my sister takes my nephew out to the backyard to play, and my dad retreats to the living room with the newspaper. My mom and I stay in the kitchen, clearing the table and pulling out mixing bowls. "Do you remember how to do this?" my mom asks, setting a bag of flour on the counter. "I think so, but you might have to remind me." She smiles. "That's what I'm here for." We work side by side, measuring flour and sugar, cracking eggs, mixing butter until it's soft and creamy. My mom moves with the practiced ease of someone who's made this recipe 100 times. I follow her lead, trying to remember the way we used to do this when I was small, standing on a stool so I could reach the counter, getting flour on everything, sneaking bits of raw dough when she wasn't looking. "This was your grandmother's recipe," my mom says, as we roll out the dough on a floured surface. "She taught me how to make these when I was about your age. And then I taught you. And now you're teaching me again." "You never really forget," she says. "It just takes a little practice." We use the same cookie cutters we've always used. Stars, trees, bells, snowmen. I press them into the dough and carefully transfer the shapes to the baking sheet. My mom watches, occasionally offering a tip or adjusting one that's about to slide off the edge. "Your grandmother used to say that cookies made with love taste better," my mom says as we slide the first tray into the oven.
I always thought that was just something people said, but I think maybe she was right. I look at her, at the way the light from the window catches in her hair, at the soft smile on her face. I think so too. While the cookies bake, we make frosting. Powdered sugar, milk, butter, vanilla. My mom lets me taste it to make sure it's sweet enough. It's perfect. When the first batch comes out of the oven, golden and slightly crisp around the edges, we set them on a cooling rack and start on the next. The kitchen grows warmer, the windows fog slightly from the heat. My nephew runs in at one point, cheeks red from the cold outside, and my mom gives him a cookie that's still warm. He takes a bite and grins, then runs back out to show my sister. We bake for hours, rolling, cutting, baking, cooling, tray after tray. The kitchen becomes a production line of cookies in every shape, lined up and waiting to be frosted. This is my favorite part, I say, as we sit down with the cooled cookies and bowls of colored frosting. Mine too, my mom says. We frost slowly, carefully. My mom's cookies are neat and precise, each one perfectly decorated. Mine are a little messier, but I don't mind. There's something meditative about it. Dipping the knife in frosting, spreading it evenly, adding sprinkles or colored sugar. My sister joins us after a while, then my nephew, and soon we're all sitting around the table, frosting cookies, and talking about nothing in particular. My dad wanders through and steals one when he thinks we're not looking. We all pretend not to notice. By the time we're done, the kitchen table is covered in cookies. Dozens, maybe more. Stars and trees and bells and snowmen, all frosted in bright colors, all slightly imperfect, all beautiful. We should package some of these, my mom says. And save some for us, my nephew adds quickly. Of course, my mom laughs. We'll save plenty for us. That evening, as the sky outside fades from blue to purple to black, I find myself back in the living room with the Christmas tree. The cookies are packaged in tins, ready to be delivered tomorrow. The kitchen has been cleaned. The house has settled into its quiet evening rhythm. I sit on the couch with a mug of tea, watching the lights on the tree blink slowly. My nephew is already in bed, worn out from the day. My parents are upstairs getting ready for sleep. My sister is beside me, scrolling through her phone but not really looking at it. She sets her phone down and looks at me. "This was a good day," she says.
It really was. I agree. She sets her phone down and looks at me. I'm glad you came home. Me too. And I mean it. More than I expected to. Being here in this house with these people, it feels right in a way that nothing has felt right in a long time. Outside, a car passes by, its headlights briefly illuminating the room before disappearing into the night. The tree lights continue their slow blink. The house breathes around us, old and familiar and safe. I close my eyes and let myself sink deeper into the couch, into the warmth, into the feeling of being exactly where I belong.
The next morning dawns crisp and bright, the kind of winter day where the cold feels clean rather than harsh. After breakfast, my mom suggests we deliver the cookies to the neighbors. It's tradition.
she says, as if that explains everything. And maybe it does. My sister bundles my nephew into his coat and mittens while I help pack the cookies into tins and paper bags tied with ribbon. Each package is labeled with a handwritten note. Simple, but thoughtful. My mom has been doing this for years, she tells me. Every Christmas, the same tradition. Do you want to come with us? My sister asks. Of course, I say. We set out together, my mom, my sister, my nephew, and me, carrying our bundles of cookies like offerings. The air is cold enough that I can see my breath, but the sun is warm on my face. The neighborhood is quiet, still waking up. The first house we visit belongs to the Johnsons, an elderly couple who've lived here longer than I've been alive. Mrs. Johnson answers the door in a cardigan and slippers, her face lighting up when she sees us. "Oh, how wonderful," she says, accepting the tin of cookies. "And who is this?" "This is my nephew," my sister says. "Say hello." He waves shyly, and Mrs. Johnson smiles. "He's precious. Thank you so much for thinking of us." "Merry Christmas," my mom says, and we move on to the next house. We make our way down the street, stopping at each home. Some neighbors we know well, others only by sight. But everyone greets us warmly, grateful for the cookies, grateful for the gesture. My nephew gets braver with each stop, announcing proudly that he helped make them. "Did you really?" one neighbor asks, delighted. I put the sprinkles on, which is mostly true. By the time we visited the last house, our hands are empty and my cheeks are numb from the cold, but I feel good, connected, like I'm part of something that's been happening long before I arrived and will continue long after I'm gone. "That was nice," I say as we walk back toward the house. "It is nice," my mom agrees. "It's one of my favorite things about Christmas, just letting people know you're thinking of them." That afternoon, while my nephew naps and my dad watches a football game in the living room, my mom pulls out a stack of photo albums from the hall closet. "I thought you might want to look through these," she says, setting them on the kitchen table. My sister and I exchange a glance. "All of them?" "Just a few," my mom says. "I was going through them the other day and found some I'd forgotten about." We sit down together, opening the first album. The pages are thick and slightly yellowed, the photos held in place with those old-fashioned corner tabs. The first picture is of my parents on their wedding day. Young and smiling, my mom in a simple white dress, my dad in a suit that looks too big for him. "You both look so young," my sister says. "We were young," my mom says, laughing. "I was 22. Your father was 24. We turn the pages slowly, watching my parents' lives unfold. Their first apartment, their first Christmas together, the house they bought before I was born, my mom pregnant with me, glowing and tired at the same time. Then there are pictures of me as a baby, tiny and red-faced, wrapped in a yellow blanket, my dad holding me like I might break, my mom smiling at the camera, exhausted but happy. "I can't believe I was ever that small," I say. "You were," my mom says, "and you cried all the time. You didn't sleep through the night until you were almost a year old." "Thanks for that," I say, and she laughs. We keep flipping. Birthdays, holidays, first day of school pictures where I'm missing my front teeth, my sister as a baby, then a toddler, then a little girl. The two of us, together, arms around each other, matching Halloween costumes. "I remember this," my sister says, pointing to a photo of us building a snowman. "You kept knocking it over," I say. "You did keep knocking it over. I was 3.
Still annoying. My mom rolls her eyes, but she's smiling. There are photos of Christmases past, trees decorated just like the one in the living room now, presents piled underneath, all of us in pajamas opening gifts. There are photos of family vacations, road trips, camping trips. My grandparents appear in several photos, younger than I remember them, smiling and waving at the camera. I miss them, I say quietly, touching a photo of my grandmother. Me too, my mom says. We sit in silence for a moment, looking at the pictures. Then my mom closes the album and pulls out another. This one is more recent. Photos from the last 10 years. My sister's wedding. My nephew as a newborn. Holiday gatherings where I'm noticeably absent. You weren't here for that one, my mom says, pointing to a Christmas photo. I know, I say. I'm not trying to make you feel bad, she says quickly. I'm glad you're here now. I am too, I say. We look through the rest of the album, snapshots of a life I wasn't fully part of, but am connected to nonetheless. My family growing and changing without me. It's bittersweet, seeing it all laid out like this, knowing I missed so much, but also knowing that they kept space for me even when I wasn't there. We should take a new photo this year, my sister says. All of us together. We should, my mom agrees. That evening, after dinner, I bundle up and step outside alone. The neighborhood is quiet, the streetlights casting long shadows across the pavement. A few houses down, someone has strung lights along their roofline, white and twinkling against the dark. Another house has a wreath on the door with a red bow. I walk slowly, my hands in my pockets, my breath making clouds in the cold air. There's something peaceful about walking alone like this, especially at night. It gives me time to think, time to just be. I pass the house where the Johnsons live, the one where we delivered cookies this morning. Their porch light is on, warm and inviting. I wonder if they've eaten any of the cookies yet, or if they're saving them for later. Further down the street, a car passes by, headlights sweeping across the road before disappearing around the corner. The neighborhood settles back into quiet. I walk to the end of the block and turn around, heading back toward home, toward the house where my family is, probably watching TV or playing a board game or cleaning up the kitchen, toward the place that for this brief moment in time feels like the center of everything. When I reach the driveway, I pause and look up at the house. The lights are on in every window, spilling out onto the snow-dusted lawn. Through the front window, I can see the Christmas tree, still blinking its slow rhythm. I can see movement inside, shadows passing by. I think about all the years I spent trying to get away from this place, trying to build a life somewhere else, somewhere bigger, somewhere that felt more like the future and less like the past. And I don't regret it, not really. But standing here now, looking at this house, at this life I used to know so well, I realize I've been missing something. Not the place itself, but the feeling of belonging, of being part of something that doesn't require explanation, of being known fully and completely by the people that matter most. I take a deep breath, the cold air filling my lungs, and then I walk inside. The warmth of the house wraps around me immediately. My nephew is sitting on the floor with a puzzle. My sister is curled up on the couch with a book. My dad is in his chair, reading glasses perched on his nose. My mom is in the kitchen, humming softly to herself. "Where'd you go?" my sister asks, looking up. "Just for a walk," I say. She nods and goes back to her book. My nephew looks up at me and smiles, then returns to his puzzle. My dad doesn't say anything, but he gives me a small nod, acknowledgement, understanding, welcome. I take off my coat and hang it by the door, then sink onto the couch beside my sister. She shifts to make room for me, and we sit there together in comfortable silence.
Outside, the night grows darker. Inside, the lights stay on, warm and steady and safe. And I think this is home, not because it's where I grew up, but because it's where I'm loved.
Christmas Eve arrives softly, like snow falling in the night. I wake to find the house already alive with anticipation. My nephew is bouncing around downstairs, his excitement palpable even from my bedroom. I can hear my sister trying to calm him, my mom laughing, my dad's low voice joining the conversation. I take my time getting dressed, pulling on comfortable clothes, soft jeans, a thick sweater. When I finally make my way downstairs, the kitchen smells like coffee and something sweet baking in the oven. "Good morning," my mom says, turning from the stove. "I'm making cinnamon rolls. Special occasion." "Christmas Eve is a special occasion?" I ask, smiling. "Every day this week has been a special occasion," she says. "Why stop now?" My nephew runs past me, chasing the cat, who looks less than pleased about being pursued. My sister follows at a more leisurely pace, carrying a cup of coffee. "Someone woke up at 6 this morning," she says, nodding toward my nephew. "Excited for tomorrow?" I ask him. He stops running long enough to nod emphatically, then resumes his chase. We eat breakfast together. Warm cinnamon rolls, fresh fruit, more coffee than is probably necessary. My dad reads the paper. My sister scrolls through her phone. My nephew chatters about what he hopes Santa will bring. And I just sit, taking it all in, memorizing the feeling of this moment. "So, what's the plan for today?" I ask. "Well," my mom says, "we usually do a big dinner tonight. Nothing fancy, but special. And then we watch a movie, read a story by the fire, and everyone goes to bed early so Santa can come." My nephew's eyes light up at the mention of Santa. "Can I help with dinner?" I ask. "I was hoping you would," my mom says. The afternoon is spent in the kitchen, all of us working together. My mom is in charge, of course, orchestrating everything with the ease of someone who's done this 100 times. My dad peels potatoes at the sink. My sister chops vegetables. I'm assigned to making the stuffing, following my grandmother's handwritten recipe that's stained and worn from decades of use. "Don't skip the sage," my mom reminds me. "That's what makes it special." I won't, I promise. My nephew is given the important job of taste testing things, which he takes very seriously. He samples a bit of cranberry sauce and makes a face. "Too sour?" my sister asks. He nods. "You'll like it with the turkey," she assures him. The kitchen grows warm from the oven, the windows fogging slightly. Christmas music plays from a speaker on the counter. Old carols, familiar and comforting. My dad hums along under his breath while he works. "Remember when we used to do this when you were little?" my mom asked me. You'd stand on a stool right where you're standing now, trying to reach the counter. I remember. And I remember you always letting me crack the eggs, even though I got shell in the bowl every time. You did, she says, laughing. But you were so proud of yourself. I got better, I said defensively. You did, she agrees. We cook for hours, the kitchen filling with the smells of sage and butter and roasting meat. Every surface is covered. Bowls, cutting boards, mixing spoons. It's organized chaos, but somehow it works. Everyone knows their role, moves around each other without colliding. By the time dinner is ready, the sun has already set. The dining room table is set with the good dishes, the ones we only use for holidays. Candles are lit in the center, casting a warm glow over everything. We sit down together, passing dishes around, filling our plates. The food is perfect. Not fancy, but made with care, made with love. This is really good, Mom, my sister says. We all made it, my mom reminds her. It's a team effort. My nephew tries a bite of everything, even the cranberry sauce, and declares it pretty good. High praise, my dad says, winking at him. We eat slowly, savoring each bite, talking about nothing and everything. My sister tells a story about my nephew's school play. My dad talks about the neighbors who put up an inflatable snowman that's taller than their house. My mom reminds us that we need to leave cookies out for Santa tonight. And carrots for the reindeer, my nephew adds, importantly. And carrots for the reindeer, my mom agrees. When the meal is finished and the dishes are cleared, everyone helping, everyone working together, we migrate to the living room. The Christmas tree lights are on, blinking their slow rhythm. The fireplace has been lit, flames dancing behind the grate. My dad settles into his chair. My mom curls up on the couch. My sister sits on the floor with my nephew, who's already pulling off his shoes so he can be more comfortable. Movie first or story? My mom asks. Story, he says immediately. My mom reaches for a book on the side table. An old, worn copy of 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. I remember this book. I remember her reading it to me when I was small, sitting in this same room by the same fireplace.
Come here, my sister says to my nephew, patting the spot beside her. He crawls over and leans against her, thumb already inching toward his mouth. My mom opens the book and begins to read, her voice soft and steady. 'Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. I close my eyes and listen. The words are familiar, comforting. I've heard them 100 times, maybe more. But tonight, they feel different, special, like they're wrapping around me, around all of us, holding us together. My mom's voice continues, weaving the story, painting pictures with words, the stockings hung by the chimney, the sugar plums dancing, St. Nicholas himself, rosy-cheeked and jolly. When she finishes, my nephew is half asleep, his eyes drooping. My sister kisses the top of his head and stands, carefully scooping him up. Bedtime for you, she whispers.
But I'm not tired, he mumbles, even as his head drops against her shoulder. I know, she says, but Santa won't come unless you're asleep. That does the trick. He perks up just enough to say goodnight to everyone, and then my sister carries him upstairs. The rest of us stay in the living room, watching the fire, listening to it crackle and pop. The house is quiet now, settled. Outside, the night is still and cold. Inside, we're warm and safe. This has been a really good week, I say, after a while. It has. My mom agrees. I'm glad you came home. My dad adds, it wouldn't have been the same without you. Something tightens in my chest. Gratitude, maybe, or love, or both. I'm glad I came too. My mom reaches over and squeezes my hand. You're always welcome here. You know that, right? This is your home. It always will be. I nod, not trusting myself to speak. We sit there together for a little while longer, watching the fire burn down to embers, watching the tree lights blink on and off. Eventually, my parents say goodnight and head upstairs. My sister comes back down and sits beside me on the couch. He's out cold, didn't even finish brushing his teeth before he fell asleep. I smile. Big day tomorrow. Big day. She agrees. We sit in comfortable silence, the only sound the soft hum of the house around us. After a while, my sister turns to look at me. Are you okay? Really okay? I think about it. About everything that's happened this week. About being home, being here, being part of this again. Yeah, I say. I think I am. Good, she says, because we've missed you a lot. I've missed you too, and I mean it more than I've meant anything in a long time. She leans her head against my shoulder, and we sit there together, watching the last of the fire fade, watching the tree lights continue their patient rhythm. Outside, the world is dark and cold, but in here, in this room, in this house, everything is exactly as it should be. Warm, safe, home.
I wake on Christmas morning to silence. Not the absence of sound exactly, but a different kind of quiet. The house is still sleeping, holding its breath before the day begins. I lie in bed for a moment, watching pale morning light filter through the curtains, feeling the warmth of the quilt around me. It's early, earlier than I usually wake, but today feels different, special, like the air itself is holding something precious. I get up slowly, pulling on my robe and slippers, and make my way downstairs. The house is dim, lit only by the soft glow of the Christmas tree in the living room. The lights are still on from last night, blinking their patient rhythm. The stockings hang from the mantel, full and waiting. I pause in the doorway, taking it in. The tree, the presence underneath, the peaceful stillness of the house. There's something almost sacred about this moment, being awake before everyone else, witnessing the quiet before the celebration begins. I move to the kitchen and start the coffee maker, the machine hissing and gurgling as it warms up. While I wait, I stand at the window, looking out at the backyard. The world outside is gray and still, not quite awake yet. Behind me, I hear footsteps on the stairs, soft and careful, trying not to wake anyone. I turn to see my sister, wrapped in a blanket, her hair messy from sleep. "Merry Christmas," she whispers. "Merry Christmas," I whisper back. She joins me in the kitchen, and I pour her a cup of coffee. We stand together by the window, sipping in comfortable silence, watching the sky slowly lighten. "He'll be up soon," she says, nodding toward the ceiling where my nephew is presumably still sleeping. "Probably," I agree. "I'm glad we have these few minutes of quiet. Once he's up, it'll be chaos." I smile. "Good chaos, though. The best kind," she agrees. As if on cue, we hear movement upstairs. Quick footsteps, a door opening, an excited voice. My nephew appears at the top of the stairs moments later, eyes wide, hair sticking up in every direction. "Is it Christmas?" he asks breathlessly. "It's Christmas," my sister confirms. He lets out a whoop and comes running down the stairs, nearly tripping over his own feet in his excitement. My sister catches him at the bottom. "Slow down," she laughs. "Christmas isn't going anywhere." But he's already pulling her toward the living room, toward the tree and the presents and the stockings. My parents emerge from their bedroom, my mom tying her robe, my dad yawning. "Merry Christmas," my mom says, smiling at all of us. "Merry Christmas," we echo back. We gather in the living room, my nephew practically vibrating with excitement. "Can we open presents now?" he asks. "Not yet," my sister says gently. "First stockings, then breakfast, then presents." He looks like he might protest, but my mom intervenes. "That's how we've always done it. Traditions are important, remember?" He nods, mollified, and my dad lifts him up so he can reach his stocking from the mantel. We each take our stockings, even me, even though I haven't lived here in years. My mom must have filled one for me. The thought makes my throat tight. We sit on the couch and the floor, pulling out small treasures, chocolates, tiny toys, candy canes, a new pair of socks. My nephew exclaims over each item like it's the greatest thing he's ever received. My sister helps him with the wrapper on a chocolate. "Look," he says, holding up a small wooden train. "For my collection." "That's perfect," my dad says. I pull items from my own stocking, a packet of my favorite tea, a book of crossword puzzles, and a pair of fuzzy socks with reindeer on them. Simple things, thoughtful things, each one chosen with care. Thank you, Mom, I say. She smiles. I'm glad you're here to receive it in person this year. When the stockings are empty, my mom stands. Okay, now breakfast. I'm making French toast. My nephew groans, but the presents will still be there after we eat, my mom says firmly. Besides, Santa worked hard to bring those. The least we can do is have a proper breakfast first. Breakfast is warm and sweet. French toast dusted with powdered sugar, fresh berries, and bacon crispy and hot from the pan. My nephew eats faster than I've ever seen him eat, shoveling food into his mouth like he's in a race. My sister reminds him to slow down, to chew. He tries, but the excitement is too much. This is delicious, Mom, I say. Simple but special. That's what Christmas morning should be. My dad reaches for another slice of bacon. I agree with simple. We eat together, the morning light now fully bright through the windows. The house feels warm and alive, filled with the sounds of clinking silverware and quiet conversation. My nephew swings his legs under the table, counting down the minutes until presents. When breakfast is finally finished and the dishes are cleared, quickly, everyone helping, we return to the living room. My nephew is the first one there, already sitting cross-legged in front of the tree. Now? He asks hopefully. Now, my mom confirms. My dad takes on the role of Santa, reading the name tags on each present and handing them out one by one. We open them slowly, taking turns, watching each other's reactions. My nephew gets books, puzzles, a set of building blocks. He thanks everyone politely before immediately tearing into the packaging. My sister helps him with the wrapper on a chocolate. Look, he says, holding up a small wooden train. For my collection. That's perfect, my dad says. I pull items from my own stocking, a packet of my favorite tea, a book of crossword puzzles, and a pair of fuzzy socks with reindeer on them. Simple things, thoughtful things, each one chosen with care. Thank you, Mom, I say. She smiles. I'm glad you're here to receive it in person this year. When the stockings are empty, my dad rans up, takes Handel's handle on, and $20, and offers to not. My nephew sitting cross-legged in front of the tree. Now, he asks hopefully. Now, my mom confirms. My dad takes on the role of Santa, reading the name tags on each present and handing them out one by one. We open them slowly, taking turns, watching each other's reactions.
My nephew gets books, puzzles, a set of building blocks. He thanks everyone politely before immediately tearing into the packaging. My sister receives a scarf she's been wanting, a new planner, a gift card to her favorite bookstore. My dad gets a new toolbox organizer, which he examines with the careful appreciation of someone who knows exactly how useful it will be. When my dad hands me a wrapped box, I look at the tag. It's from my parents. I carefully peel back the paper to reveal a photo album, new, but filled with photos I recognize. Pictures of me growing up, pictures of our family over the years, pictures of moments I'd forgotten.
"I thought you might like to have your own copy," my mom says softly, "so you can take it with you." I open it carefully, flipping through the pages. There I am as a baby, as a toddler, on my first day of school, blowing out birthday candles, graduating. Each photo a moment in time, preserved and precious. "Thank you," I say, my voice catching. This is perfect." My sister leans over to look. "Oh, that's beautiful, Mom. I made one for you, too," my mom tells her, "for next year." We continue opening presents, one by one, savoring each moment. The pile of wrapping paper grows. The room fills with thank yous and hugs and laughter. My nephew plays with his new toys, showing them to everyone, his excitement infectious. When all the presents are opened and the wrapping paper is gathered into bags, we sit back, surrounded by the happy chaos of Christmas morning. "This was perfect," my sister says. "It really was," I agree. The rest of the day unfolds slowly, gently. We play with my nephew's new toys. We page through books. We make sandwiches for lunch using leftovers from last night's dinner. No one is in a hurry. No one has anywhere else to be. In the afternoon, my dad suggests a walk. He says, patting his stomach, "Work off some of that food." We bundle up, coats, scarves, gloves, and step outside into the cold. The neighborhood is quiet. Most people presumably inside with their own families. But here and there, we see signs of life. A child riding a new bike, a family building a snowman in their yard, lights twinkling in windows. We walk without a destination, just moving through the familiar streets. My nephew runs ahead, then circles back, his energy seemingly endless. My sister links her arm through mine. "I'm glad you came home," she says again. "Me too," I say. "I didn't realize how much I needed this." "We all need it sometimes," she says, "to remember where we come from, who we belong to." I nod, because she's right. This week hasn't just been about being in this house or this town. It's been about reconnecting with the people who've known me longest, who love me most, who make space for me always, even when I've been away. When we return to the house, the sun is already beginning to set. The day has passed quickly, but also slowly, each moment full and present. We settle back into the living room, my nephew curled up with my mom on the couch, my dad in his chair with a book. My sister and I sit on the floor, going through the photo album my mom made, pointing out memories, laughing at old hairstyles and fashion choices. "Look at this one," my sister says, pointing to a photo of us as kids, arms around each other, grinning at the camera. "We were so little." I agree. "Look how much has changed." "And how much hasn't," she adds. I look around the room, at my family, at this house, at the tree still blinking its lights. She's right. So much has changed. But the important things, the love, the connection, the feeling of belonging, those haven't changed at all. As evening settles in and my nephew's eyes start to droop, my mom suggests hot chocolate. We gather in the kitchen one more time, wrapping our hands around warm mugs, talking quietly about the day, about tomorrow, about nothing in particular. "This has been one of my favorite Christmases," my mom says. "Mine too," my dad agrees. "Mine 3," my nephew adds, sleepily, and we all laugh. Later, as I climb the stairs to my childhood bedroom, I feel a contentment I haven't felt in years, a fullness that has nothing to do with food and everything to do with love. I crawl into bed, pulling the quilt up to my chin, and look out the window at the dark sky. Somewhere out there is the life I've built, the job, the apartment, the future I'm working towards. And that's good. That matters. But this matters too. This family, this home, these people who've shaped me and held me and loved me from the very beginning. I close my eyes, feeling sleep beginning to pull at me, and I think, I'm grateful for all of it. For this day, for this week, for the chance to come home and remember what home really means. And as I drift off, wrapped in warmth and peace, I know that no matter where I go or how long I'm away, this place, these people will always be here, waiting for me, ready to welcome me back, ready to remind me that I belong.
The day after Christmas arrives with a softness that feels earned. There's no rush this morning. No excited footsteps racing down the stairs. No schedule to keep. Just the gentle quiet of a house that's been filled with celebration and is now settling into a comfortable stillness. I wake later than usual, the winter light already bright through the curtains. For a moment, I just lie there, warm and content, listening to the faint sounds of the house. Water running somewhere, the distant murmur of voices, the soft creak of floorboards. When I finally make my way downstairs, I find my family scattered throughout the house in various states of relaxation. My dad is in his chair with the newspaper. My mom is on the couch with a book. My sister and nephew are on the floor, building something elaborate with his new blocks. "Good morning," my mom says, looking up with a smile. Or should I say, good afternoon? It's almost 11. "It's vacation," I say, helping myself to coffee. Time doesn't count. "I like that philosophy," my dad says, from behind his paper. The day unfolds slowly, lazily. We eat breakfast whenever we're hungry, leftover cinnamon rolls, fruit, yogurt. We stay in our pajamas long past the point where we normally would have gotten dressed. There's no agenda, no plan, just being together, existing in the same space, comfortable and easy. In the afternoon, my nephew gets restless with all the sitting around. "Can we go outside?" he asks. My sister looks out the window at the gray day. "It's cold." "We'll bundle up," my dad says, already standing. "A little cold air would do us all good." So we dress in layers, coats and scarves and gloves, and step out into the afternoon. The neighborhood is quiet. Most people presumably inside, doing the same thing we were doing. Resting, recovering, enjoying the lull between Christmas and the New Year. We walk without purpose, just moving through the familiar streets. My nephew runs ahead, then back, then ahead again, his energy infectious. My parents walk arm in arm, slower than the rest of us, but steady. My sister and I trail behind, talking about nothing important, work, plans for the new year, a book she's reading. "I have to leave soon," I say, after a while. She nods. "I know." "I don't want to," I admit. "You could stay longer, or come back more often." I could, I say, considering it. I should. She links her arm through mine. It would mean a lot to all of us, but especially to Mom and Dad. They miss you when you're gone. I think about that, about being missed, about the space I leave when I'm away, about how easy it is to forget that absence creates a hole, even when you're living your own life somewhere else. I'll do better, I say. I promise. Good, she says, simply. We walk a little further, then turn back toward home. The sun is already starting to sink lower in the sky, the afternoon fading into evening. Inside the house, the lights are on, warm and welcoming. That evening, after dinner, leftovers again, but no one's complaining, my mom suggests we look at the house, really look at it, before it's sold, she says. I want us all to walk through it together, to remember. My sister and I exchange a glance. This is it. The reason we're all here, not just for Christmas, but for this, to say goodbye to the house that's held us all these years. We start in the living room, where the Christmas tree still stands, its lights blinking patiently. My mom sits on the couch, looking around with eyes that seem to be seeing beyond what's here now, seeing memories, ghosts of the past, moments that live in this room. This is where we opened presents every year, where we watched movies on Friday nights, where your father taught you both to play checkers. I always won, my sister says. You did not, I protest, but I'm smiling. We move to the kitchen next, the heart of the house. My mom runs her hand along the counter, the same counter where we baked cookies just days ago, where she's prepared thousands of meals, where we've sat and talked and laughed and sometimes cried. This kitchen has fed so many people, family, friends, neighbors. It's been witness to so much life. My dad puts his arm around her shoulders. Good life, he says. We go upstairs, stopping at each bedroom. My nephew's temporary room, where he's been sleeping this week. My sister's old room, now a guest room, but still containing traces of who she used to be. My parents' room, neat and tidy, the same furniture they've had since before I was born. And then my room, my childhood room. I stand in the doorway, looking in. The bed where I've slept this week, the dresser with the sticky drawer, the window overlooking the backyard, the bookshelf with books I read as a child. It's all so familiar, it hurts. I used to lie in bed and imagine what my life would be like, who I'd become, where I'd go. I never imagined I'd be standing here as an adult saying goodbye to it. My mom comes to stand beside me. You turned out even better than I imagined, and you can take this room with you in a way, in your memories, in your heart. I nod, not trusting myself to speak. We end the tour in the basement, where my dad has his workshop. Tools hanging on pegboards, half-finished projects on the workbench, the smell of sawdust and oil. I built a lot of things down here, my dad says. Fixed even more. I watched you use a hammer down here and how to measure twice, cut once. He smiles. Good lessons. We stand together in the basement, all of us, taking it in. Then slowly, quietly, we make our way back upstairs. Later that night, when my nephew is in bed and my parents have retired to their room, my sister and I sit in the living room one more time. This is harder than I thought it would be. Letting go of this house. I know. But maybe it's not really about the house. It's about what the house represents. All the memories, all the love. And we get to take that with us, she says. We do. I agree. We sit in comfortable silence, watching the tree lights blink. Outside, the world is dark and still. Inside, we're warm and safe, held by the walls of this house for just a little while longer. I'm glad I came home, I say. Me too. Promise me you'll do it more often. Even when the house is sold, we'll still be family. We'll still need to gather. I promise, I say. And I mean it. Eventually, we turn off the lights and head upstairs. I pause at my bedroom door, looking back down the hallway. At my parents' door, slightly ajar. At my sister's old room, dark and quiet. At the stairs leading down to the living room, where the tree still glows. This house has been my beginning, the place where I learned who I was, who I wanted to be. And now it's becoming part of my past, a chapter closing, so new ones can begin. But the love, the connection, the memories, the family, that doesn't end when a house is sold. That continues. That endures. I step into my room and close the door softly behind me. Tomorrow will bring new moments, but tonight I rest in the familiar, grateful for all that has been, hopeful for all that's yet to come.
My last full day in the house dawns gray and quiet. I wake early, before the rest of the house stirs, and lie in bed listening to the familiar sounds, the hum of the furnace, the creak of the house settling, the soft whistle of wind against the window. I'm memorizing it all, storing it away for the days when I'm far from here and need to remember what home sounds like. Eventually, I rise and begin the process of packing. My suitcase lies open on the floor, still mostly empty. I move slowly, folding clothes, tucking away the small things I've accumulated this week, the fuzzy socks from my stocking, the photo album from my parents, a recipe card my mom wrote out for me so I can make her cookies on my own. As I pack, I realize I'm not just putting things in a suitcase. I'm trying to figure out what I can take with me. What pieces of this place, this time, this feeling can be carried forward into my regular life? The photo album, yes. The recipe card, definitely. But also the quieter things. The memory of sitting around the kitchen table,
the sound of my nephew's laughter, the way my mom hums while she cooks, the feeling of my sister's arm linked through mine. These aren't things that fit in a suitcase, but they're what I need most. Downstairs, I find my mom in the kitchen, already making coffee. She looks up when I enter, and something passes across her face. Recognition that this is it, the beginning of goodbye. "Morning," she says softly. "Morning," I reply. We don't say much else. We don't need to. We sit together with our coffee, watching the morning light grow stronger, both of us aware that our time together is drawing to a close. My dad joins us, then my sister and nephew. We have breakfast together one more time. Scrambled eggs, toast, the last of the fruit. My nephew chatters about what he wants to do today, oblivious to the weight in the room. The rest of us participate in his conversation, grateful for his lightness. After breakfast, my mom suggests we each take something from the house. Something small, she says, something meaningful, so we all have a piece of this place with us. We spend the morning wandering through the house, looking for our tokens. My dad chooses a small wooden box from his workshop, one he made years ago, simple but beautiful. My sister takes a set of measuring spoons that belonged to our grandmother. My nephew picks out a smooth stone from the garden that he says looks like a heart. I stand in my childhood bedroom, looking around, trying to decide. My eyes land on the snow globe on the dresser, the one from a vacation I barely remember, but that sat in this room for as long as I can recall. I pick it up, shake it gently, watch the white flakes swirl and settle. This is what I'll take, a small piece of permanence in a world that's always changing. After lunch, my parents suggest one last walk through the neighborhood. We bundle up against the cold and step outside. The sky is heavy with clouds, threatening snow, but not quite delivering. We walk the same streets we've walked all week, but today everything looks different. More vivid, more precious, like I'm seeing it all for the last time, which maybe I am. My nephew runs ahead as usual, but today I'm more aware of watching him. The way he moves, the sound of his laughter carried back on the wind. My sister walks beside me, quiet. My parents are behind us, arm in arm, taking their time. "It's going to be different next time," my sister says after a while. "Without the house." "Different," I agree. "But we'll still be us. We'll still be family." "Promise you'll come back, even without the house to come back to." "I promise," I say, and I mean it with everything I have. We circle back to the house, our last walk complete. Inside, the warmth wraps around us like an embrace. My mom makes hot chocolate, a final tradition, one more sweet moment before I have to leave. We sit in the living room with our mugs, the Christmas tree still standing in the corner, though its needles have started to drop. Nobody talks much. We just exist together in this space, in this moment, holding on to it for as long as we can. That evening, after dinner, quiet and slower than usual, I finish packing. My suitcase is fuller now, not just with clothes, but with the things I'm taking. The photo album, the recipe card, the snow globe carefully wrapped in a sweater. I zip it closed and set it by the door, ready for tomorrow's departure. My sister finds me standing in the hallway, looking at the family photos on the wall. "You okay?" she asks. "Yeah," I say, just taking it all in one more time. She comes to stand beside me and we look at the photos together, our family through the years, captured in frozen moments, birthdays, holidays, ordinary days made special by the simple fact that we were together. "We should do this more," I say. "Get together, make new memories." "We should," she agrees. "Life is short. Family is everything." I nod, feeling the truth of it settle in my chest. Later, when everyone else has gone to bed, I stay up in my room, sitting by the window one last time. The neighborhood is dark and still, the house is lit from within. Somewhere out there, people are living their lives, creating their own memories, holding their own families close. And I realize she's right. This house will be sold, but what it gave us remains. The love, the laughter, the sense of belonging, those don't require walls or a roof. They travel with us, embedded in who we are. I take one last look around my childhood room, at the walls that held my dreams, at the window that framed my view of the world, at the bed where I've slept safe and warm. "Thank you," I whisper to the room, to the house, to all the years it held me. Then I climb into bed, pull the quilt up to my chin, and let sleep come. Tomorrow is for leaving. Tonight is for rest, for gratitude, for holding close everything that's been given. And as I drift off, I feel at peace. Because even though I'm leaving, I'm also taking everything that matters with me, in my heart, in my memories, in the way I'll carry this family forward into whatever comes next.
Morning comes too quickly. I wake before my alarm, my body somehow knowing this is the day I leave. The room is still dark, the house quiet around me. I lie there for a moment, feeling the weight of goodbye settling over me like a blanket. This is it, the last morning in this room, the last time I'll wake up in this bed, in this house, before it becomes someone else's story. I get up slowly, moving through my morning routine with deliberate care, brushing my teeth in the bathroom mirror where I've watched myself grow from child to adult, standing at the window one last time, looking out at the backyard where so many memories were made, running my hand along the dresser, the walls, saying goodbye to the space that's held me all these years. Downstairs, I find the whole family already awake. My mom is making breakfast, pancakes, my favorite. The smell fills the kitchen, warm and sweet and bittersweet. She says when she sees me, "I couldn't let you leave without a proper breakfast." I say, "Thank you," my voice thick. We eat together, but no one's very hungry. My nephew pushes his food around his plate. My sister keeps checking her phone to avoid looking at anyone. My dad clears his throat several times, but doesn't say much. We're all just trying to get through this moment without falling apart. After breakfast, I carry my suitcase down to the car. The morning is cold and gray, the sky heavy with clouds. My breath makes white clouds in the air as I load my things into the trunk. My suitcase, my bag, the photo album carefully placed where it won't get damaged. When I turn around,
My whole family is standing on the porch, watching me. This is it. The moment I've been dreading. My nephew comes down the steps first, wrapping his arms around my waist. "Do you have to go?" he asks, his voice muffled against my coat. "I do, but I'll come back, I promise, and we'll video chat, okay? You can show me your new toys and tell me about school." He nods, but his eyes are shiny with tears. He's trying not to shed. My sister is next. She hugs me tight, and I feel her shoulders shaking slightly. "Don't be a stranger," she whispers. "Never," I promise. "I'll call more, visit more, be better about staying in touch." "Good," she says, pulling back and wiping her eyes. My dad steps forward, and we embrace. He's not much for words, never has been, but the hug says everything. "I'm proud of you. I love you. Come home soon." "Drive safe," he says when we pull apart. "I will," I promise. And then my mom. She takes my face in her hands, looking at me the way only mothers can, seeing not just who I am now, but who I've always been, who I'll become. She says, "You take this with you," placing her hand over my heart. "Everything that happened here, all the love, it doesn't stay in the house, it goes with you, always." I nod, unable to speak. She pulls me into a hug, and for a moment I'm a child again, safe in her arms, believing nothing bad can ever happen as long as she's holding me. "I love you," I whisper. "I love you too," she whispers back, "more than you know." When we finally pull apart, everyone is crying a little. Even my dad is wiping at his eyes. We stand there on the driveway, this family I belong to, this family that's shaped me into who I am. "Okay," I say, taking a shaky breath. "I have to go or I'll never leave." They nod, understanding. I get into my car, starting the engine, adjusting the mirrors, anything to delay the actual leaving. Through the windshield, I can see them standing together on the porch. My mom and dad with their arms around each other, my sister holding my nephew, all of them waving. I wave back, then slowly put the car in reverse. As I drive down the familiar streets of the neighborhood, I take it all in one last time. The houses with their Christmas decorations still up, the park where we delivered cookies, the corner where the Johnsons live, every street corner, every landmark, every piece of this place that's been the backdrop to my growing up. I drive past my old elementary school, the library where I spent countless afternoons, the ice cream shop that's been here for decades. All of it familiar, all of it precious, all of it part of the story of who I am. At the stop sign at the end of the neighborhood, I pause. Behind me is home, or what used to be home. Ahead is the highway, the road that leads back to my other life. For a moment, I sit there, caught between two worlds, two versions of myself. Then I think about what my mom said, that home isn't really a place. It's what you carry with you, the love, the memories, the sense of belonging. Those things don't require a specific address. They travel with you, embedded in who you are. I take a deep breath and turn onto the main road. As the miles pass and the house grows farther behind me,
I feel something shift inside. Yes, there's sadness. Yes, there's loss. But there's also something else. Gratitude, peace, a deep, abiding sense that I am loved, that I belong, that no matter where I go or how far I travel, I carry my family with me. I think about the week I just spent, the cookies we baked, the tree we decorated, the stories we told by the fireplace, the meals we shared, the walks we took, the simple, quiet moments of being together. These memories are mine now, woven into the fabric of who I am. No one can take them away. The house might be sold, but what happened inside those walls lives on, in me, in my sister, in my nephew, in all of us. I think about the snow globe carefully wrapped in my suitcase, the photo album my mom made, the recipe card for cookies. These small tokens are reminders, yes, but they're not what I'm really taking with me. What I'm taking is bigger than objects. It's the feeling of my nephew's arms around my waist, my sister's hand in mine, my dad's quiet pride, my mom's unconditional love. It's the knowledge that I come from something solid, something real, something that will hold me even when I'm far away. The highway stretches ahead of me, gray and endless. But I'm not sad anymore. I'm grateful for the week I had, for the family I have, for the reminder that home isn't a place I left behind. It's something I carry forward. As I drive, I start to think about the future, about the next time we'll gather, maybe at my sister's house, or my parents' new place, or even at my apartment. It won't be the same as the house we grew up in, but it will still be us, still be family, still be home. And maybe that's the real lesson of this week, that home isn't static. It evolves, changes, grows, but the core of it, the love, the connection, the sense of belonging, that remains constant. Hours later, as I pull into my apartment complex, the sky is beginning to darken. I unload my car, carrying my suitcase and bags up to my apartment. Inside, everything is exactly as I left it. My couch, my books, my coffee maker, the life I've built for myself. But it feels different now. Not wrong, just different. Like I'm seeing it with new eyes.
I set my things down and pull out the snow globe, placing it on my bookshelf, where I'll see it every day. A reminder, a connection, a piece of home in this space that's mine. I think about calling my family to let them know I arrived safely, but I don't want to interrupt their evening. Instead, I send a text to the family group chat. Home safe. Miss you already. Thank you for the best Christmas. The responses come quickly. My sister, miss you too. Love you. My dad, glad you made it. Drive safely next time too. My mom, you're always welcome home, sweetheart. We love you. My nephew, a string of heart emojis and a picture of his Lego creation. I smile, reading through them, feeling the warmth of connection even across the distance. Later, as I get ready for bed in my own apartment, I think about tomorrow, about returning to work, to my routines, to the life I've built here. It will be good to be back, to have purpose and structure again.
But I'm also taking something with me into that life, a renewed sense of what matters, a commitment to staying connected, a deeper understanding of where I come from and who I belong to. I climb into my bed, not the bed from my childhood room, but my bed in my space, and pull the covers up. Through my window, I can see the city lights, so different from the quiet darkness of my parents' neighborhood. But as I close my eyes, I'm not thinking about the differences. I'm thinking about the connections, about how we're all still under the same sky, still part of the same family, still held by the same love. And I realized something important. I didn't leave home. I'm just carrying it with me in a different way, in my heart, in my memories, in the way I'll live my life going forward. Home isn't behind me. It's within me, and it always will be. As sleep begins to claim me, my last thought is simple and true. I am loved. I belong. And no matter where I go, I am never truly alone. The week of Christmas we came home taught me that, and I'll carry that lesson forward always. The end.